An 18-year-old boy walks out into the dark, on the lookout for the creature that has been disrupting his family's peace for weeks now. He suddenly is struck in the chest. Sometime later, he wakes up and finds nothing except for a series of strange prints in the ground around him. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am just another tinfoil hat. Welcome to my show. Today, we are going to be discussing the fascinating case of the Albuquerque Crybaby creature. Now, this case mainly involves the Maguire family of the Albuquerque, New Mexico South Valley area in the early fall of 1966. By the time they finally reported their series of sightings, they claimed that they had been seeing this monster for about 3 weeks. However, they had waited to report the creature for some time due to that old nagging fear, being seen as a total nutcase. However, after hearing of additional reports in the area, and after an extremely, extremely close encounter had by their 18-year-old son, they decided to come forward. Now, what the family claimed to see was this bizarre, faceless thing that was covered in black hair and had a blank white face, which stood about 5 feet tall. Their younger children were so upset by the being that they refused to sleep in their own bedrooms. Beyond just seeing this creature around their property, they also claimed that it would come and scratch all along the exterior walls of the house while crying like a baby. On one such occasion, the Maguire's 18-year-old son went to investigate, and before he could investigate anything, he was suddenly struck on the chest and knocked out. When he awoke, he was absolutely alone, and the only thing that signified something weird had happened was that the ground around him was covered in fork-like footprints. Oddly enough, the Maguire family claimed that when the monster came around, their radio would stop working, and after this incident of the 18-year-old being knocked out, whenever he heard the creature cry, he claimed that his chest began to hurt. Now, although the Maguires seemed to be kind of the nucleus of this one monster flap, they were not the only people to see something odd in the area at the time. A woman claimed that she was attacked by some formless black object, and on the night of Saturday, October 22nd, the Baca family claimed to be visited by a small, dark entity with the signature baby cry. They even claimed that the family cat was so frightened that it couldn't even meow. The title to that clipping was literally "Cat's Meow Gone, Monster Cries Like a Baby, Family Avers," from the Albuquerque Journal. This was not the only cat to have its pajamas scared off by this bizarre thing. A man by the name of Jerry Goldstein and an unnamed yellow cat claimed to see the 6-foot-tall black furry creature with a blank white face around 9:30 in the morning about Saturday, October 15th. He said that it simply jumped over a high block fence, at which point he saw a yellow cat also fleeing the scene. Earlier that morning, a man by the name of Frank Trujillo was returning home from his ranch about 1 o'clock. He stopped the car and he said that a dark, hairy thing tried to reach in through his car window and grab him. He ran for his handy-dandy firearm, but by the time he returned to the scene and the creature was nowhere to be seen. Although one Tom Bizel didn't see the creature, he claimed that his horses were so frightened by something that they tried to kick down the corral in an attempt to bolt. Contrary, his dogs, who never went in the corral, had gone in to hide from, again, some unknown thing which had frightened them. Bizel later found 3-toed footprints in the area. Beyond all of these creature sightings, the journal also claimed that strange object reports were on the rise, and had increased quite a bit throughout this time, including one report of an anomalous explosion. Supposedly, too, the creature was not necessarily a new thing. An unnamed caller told the Albuquerque Tribune that roughly 25 years previous, in the late 30s or early 40s, the, to quote, same monster-type story had occurred in Albuquerque, with sightings of a very similar creature occurring in the same area but centered on the Old Town Bridge. Now, if you're thinking this sounds weird, I have a totally different type of weird to tell you. As the monster reports slowed to a halt, local sheriff's department deputies believed that they had solved the monster mystery. Park the mystery machine for this one, and just be ready. A prowler, first observed in a bulky black sweater with a stocking over his face, and later this prowler turned into a would-be burglar. They claimed that they interrupted this guy trying to break into someone's house, and he ran away from the house with the deputies in hot pursuit, hid in a barn, and from there, he got away. Yeah, the burglar, would-be burglar, prowler, got away. However, he did leave behind in the barn a pair of faded black long johns, a black wig, 2 salted, cured elk hooves, and a mask cut out of what appeared to be a mattress cover. That's quite the getup. Now, really, here is the question though. Which came first, the monster or the mask? While I could absolutely see this explanation working for many of the sightings, I mean, some dude dressed all in black, blank mask, runs by in the dark, apparently somewhere having elk hooves on his person. I have a harder time with some of the weirder aspects of the encounter, such as how would this guy be responsible for the Maguire's radio going out? Again, there is a chance that it's purely coincidental, that all of the sightings are due to a very human prowler with his bizarre getup and his mask cut out of a mattress cover. And then the weird stuff going on was just pure coincidence. Call me Mulder, but truthfully, I think that all that coincidence is almost as weird as a monster. It seems possible to me, at least, if not likely, that rather than this prowler being responsible for upwards of 50 sightings of this bizarre thing during what sounds like an ambiguous UFO flap, maybe this guy banked on the fact that people were so afraid of this weird monster that, Scooby-Doo style, he decided to dress up and burgle someone's house. That's not too unfathomable of a concept. It's interesting too that this occurred as the sightings were winding down, which does make it already something of an outlier, as well as, again, the synchronous, highly strange phenomena that was also going on. So, just going on this, line of reasoning, let's continue. Now, the thing that really attracted my attention to this case immediately was the fact that there was this one common aspect between so many of the sightings, and that was that this thing cried like a baby. As John Keel pointed out in Strange Creatures from Time and Space, this transcends paranormal fields of research as extremely common in cases of especially hauntings as well as creature sightings. The interesting thing here is that this is a sound that the human brain is hardwired to notice more than other sounds in the environment. Side note, there's actually evidence that suggests that domestic cats over time manipulated their meows to sound like human babies, again, banking on that hardwired human response. Again, that's a side note, but what can I say? I just love cats. But anyway, you have these paranormal entities making a noise at a frequency that is hardwired and, more importantly, inherently human. Oddest of all this, though, is that each time the eldest son, the eldest Maguire boy, heard this noise, his chest hurt in the same area where he had been struck by his run-in with who knows what on that fateful night. And it's interesting here because I've often thought that sound, along with light, seems to be kind of a priming aspect of paranormal encounters. And in this case, it seems to be that somehow the sound, the frequency of that sound, almost recalled that incident to the Maguire boy. Now, in my opinion, this feels very much like a poltergeist case, right down to the scratching noises on the outside of the wall. Again, a very common feature in, of course, hauntings, but especially poltergeist phenomenon, where it seems as though the activity is always just out of reach. It's always just on the other side of the wall or on the floor above or below the witness. Now, the blank face of the creature, too, is another one of these cross-genre aspects, along with the fact that the radio went out each time that it came around. Something more often associated with ghosts or certainly UFOs, but not unheard of regarding cryptid sightings. My favorite example of a supposed EM effect by a cryptid is, of course, the Marlinton encounter, in which a man's car stopped not once but twice in the presence of a strange Bigfoot-like creature. Now, combine all of this in this case with the notice of strange object sightings in the sky, and it seems like we kind of have this double whammy of a creature UFO flap. Well, if you enjoyed this episode on the Albuquerque Crybaby creature, please like, and if you're new to this field of crop circles, go ahead and subscribe to see what weirdness the future may have in store. Till then, you can keep up with me on my free blog at patreon.com/justanothertinfoilhat. And for today, I am Zelia Edgar, signing off.
Doing.